Okay, we should be live on YouTube.
Yep.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is January 29th, 2021, and the time is 12:02. And welcome to the middle school improvement plan presentation by the middle school principals. And Dr. Kelly, take it away. We have.
Thank you, Mrs. Gravellisi. So I want to welcome our middle school principals, Joanne Willett, Heather Bob, and Steve Puchinsky, who are here to present their 2020 through 2022, I guess I'll say, school improvement plans. As we had discussed yesterday with the elementary plans, these are modeled after the district improvement plan and are targeted to be 18 months, given that there wouldn't be a whole lot of time between now and June to complete any goals or to really do some significant work in any of the areas that we're focused on. We have elected to make 18-month goals, so we really have some time to pour into the work. And one thing that's a little bit unique about the middle school plans is that they really are almost entirely aligned with each other. These three principals have elected to function a lot more as a singular team than maybe has happened in the past. And I'll let them speak a little bit more about that, but you're going to see in their presentation today that their goals are entirely aligned, and there's very small fragments of work that are individualized to a particular middle school. In general, they're focused all on the same initiatives, and I'm sure you noticed that starting last year, they had begun to work in this area by co-hosting parent nights and seminars to help all middle school parents understand what was happening and give some advice and guidance to them as well. So I will leave it at that, and I'll pass it over to our middle school principals. I'm going to share my screen and bring up their presentation, and you all can just tell me when you want me to advance the slide.
At 12 o'clock committee of the whole meeting for the SIPs.
Do we need a roll call of the committee?
Oh, actually, we do. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo, Mr. D'Ambrosio, Mr. Ferranti,
Here.
Mrs. Gravellisi,
Here.
Mr. Sanella,
Here.
Ms. Ty,
Here.
Mayor Arrigo.
Okay. Can you all see the slideshow?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know who's gonna kick us off.
Okay, I'll start us up. So I would like to say thank you, Dr. Kelly, and esteemed members of the school committee for having Mrs. Bob, Mrs. Willett, and myself here to present to you our school improvement plans for the Rumney Marsh Academy, the Susan B. Anthony, and Garfield Middle School. This has obviously been a very different year for Revere Public Schools, as well as education in general. And today's presentation, as Dr. Kelly said, is a little different and will represent some of the change and improvements that we feel have been made between our three schools. And one of the most important developments and significant developments that I feel that has occurred during this difficult time is the amount of collaboration between the three middle school principals. It is our goal to provide all middle school students with similar learning experiences and opportunities throughout the district. It is this constant collaboration and communication that has led us to develop extremely similar school improvement plans and action steps and objectives that are aligned with the district's vision. And today we would like to share with you those plans and the shared objectives, as well as how they're being implemented amongst our three buildings. Dr. Kelly, if we could go to the next slide, thank you. So in alignment with the district's strategic objective of providing staff and students with anti-racist learning experiences and training, each school hosts a staff book club with all staff being invited to partake in this. This includes administration, teachers, all staff are invited for this. And these book clubs assist in fostering a positive, welcoming school culture, as well as providing opportunities for discourse surrounding race and culture. Each school has also established a school-based equity team, and these teams are currently in different stages of implementation of the 3 buildings, though it is our goal and intent to have each team representative of administration, teachers, parents, as well as students as well to serve on these teams. Now, these teams, along with the guidance of the District Equity Advisory Board, will also identify, provide, and assess professional development for staff and restorative practices and culturally sensitivity. We'll also be researching and implementing ways to provide students a variety of anti-racist learning experiences that we hope to have woven within the fabric of our buildings. This may be presented not only just the fabric of our buildings, but curriculum and advisory curriculum. It may also include presentations to grade levels or to students of the school as a whole of different speakers representing different cultures, races, and addressing obstacles and hurdles, as well as different pathways to success. At this point, I'll pass it over to Ms. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Paczynski. And I just want to recognize that Committeewoman Rizzo has joined us.
Thank you. So in looking at the next objective, which is to create opportunities for parent engagement and input in school and district decision-making, you can see how closely related not only the initiatives are, but the schools are in what our goal is, particularly around equity. So we do mention once again the equity teams. We're hoping to increase equitable representation of parents on these teams through our school improvement councils and our PTO as well. Increase communication with families of different racial and linguistic backgrounds through the hiring of family liaisons that are also bilingual at the schools. We have the Lionbridge software that offers translation for teachers and staff to communicate with families with different linguistic backgrounds as well. And to improve parent and caregiver understandings of school policies and practices, particularly around a switch in our grading system. We've held and hope to continue to hold online parent forums to push information out and provide parent voice on all things related to our policies and practices. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Willett.
All right, thank you, Heather. So I'll be speaking about strategic objective 5.2, which is increasing opportunities for students to have voice and choice in their academic programs. So this really stems from a shift in our mindset and philosophy as we have moved towards a competency-based learning, which is focused around student agency, where we really want students to have, to own their learning. When students have a sense of who they are, where they're headed, and know what it will take to get there. As stated in the benchmark, we want to provide students with increased opportunities and choice in how they demonstrate mastery of course standards. We want to provide students with a variety of ways beyond the traditional paper and pencil assessments to demonstrate their mastery. And this is tied into a lot of work that we've done over the years with universal design, project-based assessments, personalized learning. Ultimately, we really believe it's important for students to know the goal of the learning activities and for teachers to really provide ongoing mastery-based feedback so that students can demonstrate and show that learning. We also want to provide more opportunities for students to be involved in committees and have opportunities to influence decisions that are made at their schools. This can also help students become more engaged in communities in the community outside of the school. We know that there's an increase in civic engagement when we can increase that student participation in school committees. We know that not all students can be on the committees, but we know that we can increase participation by having all students participate in surveys and polls, and that will definitely translate into having that voice and choice. And finally, we want to ensure that we are allowing for students to have voice and choice, to provide feedback on current and desired academic and extracurricular programs. Not only can voice and choice create more engagement in learning, but also give students agency and empower them to become more self-directed learners. The next slide, Dr. Kelly. So on strategic objective 6.4, ensuring teaching practices across classrooms focus on effective student-centered and deeper learning experiences. This objective really speaks to our commitment on developing a shared vision on grading practices that are aligned with the district's vision. The three of us are members of the Revere Middle School Grading Committee, and we work with teams of teachers to collaborate and align grading practices. Steve, Heather, and I work very closely to discuss and implement ideas for professional development, and are working with teams of teachers to make sure that all of these new grading practices are being implemented with fidelity. Heather's now going to speak about some of the partnerships that we have.
So though the goal is the same, the implementation does differ slightly at each school. Here at the Rumney Marsh, we're part of the Kaleidoscope Collective for Learning, and we have what we're calling the Deeper Learning team of teachers within our school that have attended several convenings and have been working on creating deeper learning tasks in each of the content areas. One of the benefits of having some shared collaboration time among schools is that they're then able to work at a district level with the other middle school teachers and share those tasks that they are creating for students that are based around student choice and aligned to mastery-based grading with a variety of different outcomes for students and ways to demonstrate learning. We also have the Garfield as the ELT school and the MCIA partnerships that are also, they're all around creating and developing deeper learning tasks for students. So though the iteration is a little bit different through these partnerships, the end goal is basically to create student-centered experiences that provide those deeper learning and higher level thinking opportunities for students.
Thank you, Heather. I do want to recognize that the mayor has joined the meeting.
Sorry for being late, everyone.
You have a lot on your plate.
So that, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, principals, that concludes the presentation from our middle school principals. I don't know if any of the committee members have questions.
Mr. Mayor?
My apologies. Ms. Ty.
Hi. I have a kind of practical question as a former high school English teacher and as the teacher actually of two of those principals. Let's say that we're reading something. I'll take a book that is probably everybody's all-time favorite, To Kill a Mockingbird. And I want to be sure that everyone has read it. Could you give me an example of how you would give them what sort of choices a student might have about reporting on it? I mean, not the old book report kind, those have gone for ages ago, but a different kind of, or you can pick any book.
Well, speaking as a former English teacher myself, Ms. Ty, I'll field this one as I feel it might be a little bit in my wheelhouse. Certainly, it's again, being a former high school English teacher, I tend to go towards To Kill a Mockingbird, having taught it or other things. But certainly, we want to push beyond, as you said, the old school book reports, but ways to target different intelligences and learning styles. So maybe there is the opportunity to choose a essay or a topic or a choice, or maybe this is put out to students as well to demonstrate how they want to demonstrate. So what is this learning standard or the objective identified from the teacher? But are there different opportunities than what we would consider traditional that may be able to demonstrate a knowledge or understanding? Maybe someone who has a musical background would prefer to write a song or a rap or something regarding the objective or the standard to demonstrate that knowledge. Someone with the artistic background may choose to do some type of drawing or graphic novel of a scene or a close reading. So I think that's some of the choices that we think of. At the same time, I would also defer to the professionalism of my staff and their backgrounds to develop some of these choices Again, I feel like I can speak towards that English side, but I certainly would have difficulty with demonstrating something more towards science or math.
Well, I wouldn't go to that subject, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Ty. Ms. Gravellisi?
Thank you, Mayor Arrigo. I know it's been a difficult year, obviously, for everybody. I'm just curious how it's been going with parent engagement, getting participation with the school improvement committee and the PTO and all that, and how the outreach for that has gone.
So first, I want to commend, and I think I can speak for all three of us, the parent support that we've received has been wonderful. We've been holding what we call virtual town halls at various times during the year, at different times in the day or at night, to just make ourselves available for parents to ask questions in a very casual, open format. So we've had a few of those at each of our schools and plan to offer more of those, just to give the parents that opportunity. Of course, like, I think in a weird way, I think we've had more communication with parents in this virtual setting, and feel that we've made many more connections, welcoming them into teachers' homes and into them welcoming us into their homes has really been a different twist on things. But I feel like we've had a greater amount of communication in many ways because we've had to. So it's a different year, but in many ways, I feel there's been a lot more communication with families that we've never had before.
How has the participation been at the town halls?
It varies. Sometimes we have 12, sometimes we have 35. But we just keep offering and hoping that we'll get more. But and we do have a great support with our family liaisons. I have to, again, speak volumes of praise and accolades for the committee for approving those positions. They've been such a tremendous support. So leveraging their help in the assistance of our translators, it's really a team effort, and they've been such a critical piece to the work that we're doing this year.
Well, you just answered my next question, which was going to be, how has it been going with the family liaison? Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah.
You're always one step ahead.
Mr. Franti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a general question. I was wondering how the incoming sixth graders are doing with remote learning, plus the seventh and eighth graders. Obviously, it's something totally different this year, and I was just wondering how they're doing in general.
I would, and again, I don't want to speak for all middle schools. I would say really, and that was a huge concern for us. Certainly we have a sixth grade population that has never physically stepped foot, for the most part, in Garfield Middle School. And, you know, same with the other two schools. With the teaming and with the outreach and the communication that's been taking place, I have found that the sixth grade to be very well engaged. Attendance rates have been very good across the entire board for the school, but certainly I commend, you know, especially for the sixth graders, I commend the teams and the teachers and the support staff for the outreach, as well as my administrators, my APs, making sure that we have that engagement with them.
Yeah, I would echo that at the RMA, that I am inspired by sixth graders. I think one of the things that we miss the most is being able to physically walk into classrooms, but we do that virtually, and they are on time, they're enthusiastic. It's become the new normal for them, and we're really excited and looking forward to actual normal school with them. But they have been showing up and dedicated to learning and getting their work done in a way that I think is better than we probably would have hoped for.
And I think we learned a lot from the spring and how things went. And then we had such a better plan going into the fall this year, so that we started off hitting the ground running. So it's really been a great, it really is getting better. And I think we learned a lot, and we see a good level of engagement.
Glad to hear it. Thank you.
And I'll just add, I know that we spoke a little bit about this before, but we did have a meeting this morning with the middle school principals, and we're looking at scheduling and thinking about how we would do the slow return of students when we're able to come back to the hybrid model, and reaffirmed that the priority at the middle school level would be first our special needs kids, but then 6th grade after that, and give those kids that opportunity to transition. As Mr. Paczynski pointed out, they've not actually been in their middle schools for the most part. So giving them that opportunity this spring so that when they come back as 7th graders next year, it's not a whole brand new experience in terms of the physical environment that they're going to be in as well.
Any other members have any questions or comments? Ms. Gravellisi?
Thank you, Mayor Arrigo. I'm just curious, how are the school-based equity teams going? How did you form them? Is it a diverse team at each school, and so on and so forth?
I can jump in. So our team started over the summer. We had a lot of interest. We started with actually holding forums with students when a lot of the unrest happened with the Black Lives Matter and all of that. We made a space for students to meet with staff, and from there the staffs wanted to do more, and we had a book club that started, and we met many times over the summer, read a couple of books together, and then that organically became the basis to start our equity team. And then we opened it up again to all members. We have about 17 staff members who meet every other week. And then on the off week, we've developed 3 subcommittees that will meet in the off week. And we have like what we call action teams that are doing some work. And then we report back to the larger committee. The larger committee is now meeting monthly, and then the subcommittees, so we've just restructured actually, but the subcommittees are meeting regularly, report back to the larger committee. So we're very excited about the work. We still have the book club going, where also other staff members can also be part of that if they choose to be. We're in the process. We're a little behind the other schools. They already have students, I believe, on their committees, but we're in the process of welcoming some students to join our equity team. So really exciting work is ahead.
Is that a staff-based book club, or is that with students as well?
It's the staff-based book club. So we have 3 subcommittees. We have one that's focused on data. We have one on student agency, and one is focused on family and community engagement.
Great.
I would say for us, it's very similar. We have one parent that has been attending regularly, which we're very excited about. And then we have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I would say the 6th graders, again, they're very inspiring and dedicated to the work, as are the 7th and 8th graders. It's having them at the table as an equal voice has been a learning curve for us, because they are so used to raising their hand and, having like a seat at the table with the adults that they're used to having as their teachers has been eye-opening for them and for us. And I would say equity is one of the major focus points for us. And so every 3rd weekly staff meeting, we have some focus on equity, looking at student work, looking at lesson plans, and we've actually invited the students to help facilitate some of the conversations with the teachers, the students that sit on the equity team. And that, I think, has been really eye-opening for staff to see students having a voice in what the lessons are that they're receiving and participating in, and how that looks from an equity lens. I think that's been probably the most exciting part for us.
So for the Garfield, we're not as fully as established as the other 2 schools. We do not have the students yet on it. We are mostly staff based. However, the development of it was very similar, that the interest through the book club, staff volunteering to get involved in things like this. And then also that we have the representation it's Dr. Jokum, who is serving as kind of the bridge between the advisory board and then our school-based board as well.
Thank you.
Any other members? Ms. Tai?
Well, speaking of book clubs, I was interested that you all 3 have that as an important part of your of the development and the change. And have you do you have a single list of books from which students can choose? Is there a separate list for each school? How much flexibility is in there? And could I get a copy of the names of the books that you have chosen for myself and my family?
So for our book club, it's a staff book club. So it's the staff have been the ones who have identified books that they would like to read. Currently, they're reading Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria and other conversations on race.
Oh, I know that. Mhm. Yeah.
So that's where they started. They are currently working on creating a list of books and recommendations that they have, which then will continue working as staff. So currently we do not have students on that. It's more the staff in developing the culture and relationship amongst themselves.
I think I misunderstood. I thought that part of the initiative was going to be a book club also for students that you would share either with among the three of you or just within your own school. So
That is something
there,
we've
and
talked
as
about.
the literature on that topic.
That's a lot too. Great to consider and to work in.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other members? Okay. All right. I think that wraps us up, right, Dr. Kelly?
We would hope that the committee would make a motion
fine.
to accept the middle school improvement plans.
Motion to accept and support the middle school improvement plans.
Second.
Second, roll call of the members.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio, Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mrs. Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. Sinella,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes, and thank you.
Mayor Arrigo.
Yes. So I think at this point we'll adjourn and then come back at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there is a different link for the committee for the 1 o'clock meeting
Okay.
with the high school
Okay.
teams. Okay.
All right.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you all. Thank you, Mr.
Bye,
Chair.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
Great
Bob.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks for sharing.